And so my buddy was like, you should take an acting course. You come, and I went to a small college. There was like a drama department. And so I did. I went and I took drama, acting, 101. And it was pretty interesting. I really enjoyed it. And my advisor at the time said to me, he was like, Justin, I could see that. I could see you really getting typecast. And I remember thinking, is that a insult or is he complimenting me? Mm-hmm. I wasn't really sure. I think it was like one of those like really smart insults where I left his office and he's like, idiot. Welcome to Above the Legal Limit. I'm your host, Justin Chopin, business owner, lawyer, dad, world's best husband, traveler, and adventure seeker. On this podcast, we mix business with pleasure. We'll dive into growth strategies, entrepreneurial adventures, the business of law, and prove that business isn't boring. So let's get ready because we are going above the legal limit. Hey, welcome to Above the Legal Limit after 5 p.m. This here is a series we've been doing. Those of you who watch know where I drink the scotch and then you ask me the questions, but we're doing something a little bit different today. We have a very special guest, Billy Slaughter, who has been featured in over 100 films and TV. Did I say it right?
That is correct.
That is correct. So thanks for joining us. We're drinking because that's the show. And what we have here is Winchester. This is a bottle of Winchester someone gave to us, and we're doing it because he was in a show called Winchester that I have not seen, but now is on my to-do list. So my apologies to everybody. And
a spin-off of the long-running Supernatural.
Okay. So here's how this works. Usually, I tell them I'm not going to be pretentious about it, but then I act really pretentious about it. So I'm like, but it's not real because I'm not like that. Hey, cheers. Full disclosure.
In the body.
Billy and I went to high school together, and he actually didn't realize. Neither one of us realized we were going to be on the show together. Haven't seen you in probably 30 years.
Wow.
Is it 30?
Yeah, absolute. I mean, it's a legal show, so legal disclaimer. Our mutual friend Armando LeDuc, who's social media, contacts me and you want to do a podcast, and I'm thinking it was with Armando, and we're just trying. I was on a shoot at the time, and we're looking at schedules and just trying to work it out. So lo and behold, we finally. I'm just thrilled to get a window clear and lock in a date, and then I realized, okay, it's not with Armando, and then it's with.
I know that
it's
guy.
With an old high school classmate. So in true New Orleans form.
Yeah, This is New Orleans. That's why, I did a show the other day and be like, don't ever practice law in Texas. It's terrible. And this is why. This is what I was talking about. Just because in New Orleans, everybody. I'm shocked I don't see it at the grocery store. That's usually where I see all my friends. I see them, I don't go to reunions. I go to Dornex.
But literally grocery
Dornex.
Store, because then we find out as well we're in the same neighborhood now.
Yeah, we're in the same neighborhood. And that's New Orleans for you.
It is.
So, I haven't seen Winchester. I am going to see it. But I was also reading that you are working, you own a production company.
I do. I run Ponte Ray Productions. Acting is my primary, my forte, but I've done some producing. That's something I'd like to be doing more of. I know, you guys talk a lot of business shop on this. There was a time when, in the industry, being a specialist was a good thing.
Yeah.
When there was very much the mindset of like, know what you are, know your type, stay in your lane type thing. And now, and then people who wanted to sort of do other things or get involved in other things was more of a liability, or it was frowned upon. And nowadays, that with everything else that's changed in the business, there's been a massive pendulum swing to where it's all about diversity in the sense of as many slashes as you can have.
Okay.
So
yeah, I can see that.
Now nobody wants you to just be an actor. It's like you got to be actor or whatever, writer, producer, director, podcaster, entrepreneur. In some senses, it keps things interesting.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
People tell me, they're like, Justin, you need to write a book. I was like, write a book? What the hell are you talking about?
Author.
Yeah, they're like, Justin, award-winning author. But you can get an award for anything. So, I was like, I don't know that I have time to be writing a book. I'm struggling just with the podcast. So I always have this question: how do you find yourself in acting? Because I live I live in another generation, so we're like, I'm a Gen Xer. So if you say like,
we're the same generation.
absolutely, but I live in another generation from like modern times. So
Yeah.
in my mind, if you want to be an actor, you were supposed to move to Hollywood and like wait tables until someone says like you're in. So how does somebody find themselves in 100 films? Like, how does that even happen?
So that was something that one of the things that changed with our generation is, you're right, for most of time, and even to some degree, if you had any interest in this industry, you didn't have a choice. You had to leave behind everything you ever knew and everyone, and like I said, sort of pack up the Conestoga and head west, or New York if you were East Coast. But so our generation saw the advent of location production. Initially, the term was like runaway production, which I don't like that term because, needless to say, it's very, like
sounds like
it's
like
West Coast, East Coast
legitimate.
centric, exactly. As in like it was a problem for them is that productions are going to other places, but it really, again, diversified the entire market because now you had, like tax incentives in different states. The Carolinas jumped into it. Michigan was in early. New Mexico was in the game. We here in Louisiana, we can take some pride that we didn't start the film and TV tax credit model, but I think we kind of perfected it, or set the standard for like the current one, which Atlanta's running away crazy with it. But so to your question, I started Jesuit High School, and it's like the big school, a bright-eyed youth, and just looking for what my path was, what I was going to get involved in. And even though we had one of the premier high school theater programs, it was mostly, well, not mostly, it was all musical theater.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's all
style.
musical,
Yeah,
right?
and that
There's
wasn't
no drama.
That wasn't my niche exactly. I sort of
comedy.
like dramatic storytelling, and then even classical. I like history, so Shakespeare, etc. So my sister was at Mount Carmel High School, and one of the big all-girls Catholic schools in town. They needed boys. They were desperate for boys to audition for their productions, and so they were holding auditions for their fall production of Our Town. And I tried it out, and everything just clicked. Everything opened up. It's like in one shot, I met my now wife, who was the head of their drama club. Then I found my calling in life. So it kind of made sense. Theater was my background. I loved it. I was halfway decent at it. I just wanted, really scratched an itch nothing else had, and just kept me wanting to do more and learn more. So I ended up, I went to college for it. So I went in as a theater major, but film was always my real aspiration. So just as I was coming out of my college acting program, is when the tax credits passed here in town. So now all of a sudden, film and TV for the first time had come
coming to you.
Yeah, coming to us, coming to our hometown. So it presented some great opportunities. Everyone hears about the role of luck in the industry, which is certainly necessary. For all the things that are out of your hands.
For everything, really.
Yeah.
But it's all luck.
A lot of life is, but we know, like in the entertainment industry, the odds are so stacked against you, and there are so many hurdles. And just when you think it's like, okay, you have this success, I mean, it can be very much a one step forward, 3 steps back,
right?
Trajectory. Nothing's linear, but I digress. So the first film that really came in with the tax credits was Runaway Jury, the last, the good old John Grisham days of legal dramas, and so that was a huge film. Dustin Hoffman, Gene Hackman, John Cusack, Rachel Weisz, and so they brought me in at the time, fresh out of college. There weren't any roles for me in that, but they brought me in just as an established theater actor to stand in for Dustin Hoffman. And then Dustin.
Oh, I can see that. Actually,
yeah. I mean, so we're the same height and similar dimensions.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So I could show you pictures, some side by sides, but so Dustin and I hit it off. I mean, we have a great working relationship. For me to come right out of drama school and be working with two of the greatest of all times, Hoffman and Hackman,
Yeah.
who were old roommates. I mean, who met in L.A. Theater school together at Pasadena Playhouse. Then they were roommates in New York before either of them, went on to their individual paths of greatness. But so I was a kid in a candy store. I soaked it all up. I guess Dustin saw my passion and invited me to move out to LA to be his regular stand-in. So when the call for LA came, it was from one of the greats. So I was working with Dustin for a few years out there. I ended up, ultimately having to put a lot of people, that might be familiar with that story. They're like, oh, so you got your start in acting, kind of, work standing in for Dustin Hoffman, and it's like, no, I was an actor. I had
were acting,
trained in England, and done a lot of different things. And if anything, my time with Dustin, I ended up kind of having to put my own acting career, which just when we were really getting some momentum out of drama school, on hold for a while.
You're a stand-in. You're not
exactly.
You're not going to give a great monologue,
and I didn't have
right?
much free time. I'm working on a run of show on projects with Dustin, but I always considered that. I've always been more interested in sort of the big picture and the reminders that this is very much a marathon and not a sprint. So I look at my time working with Dustin as sort of my grad school. Working with he and the last project I did with him was Meet the Fockers, and so it's like now you're learning literally in the footsteps of De Niro, or you get to rehearse scenes with Bob day to day. So I just had a really, I'm very grateful. I've had some great opportunities and worked with a lot of people that were my mentors growing up. The people I idolized, I learned from. Never in a million years, thought this is what I would be doing, no less who I would be working with. So I was able to do a lot of that early on, and it just gave me a great big picture perspective on career and work and sort of, what to aim for. I learned, I knew it before, but it really reinforced early in my career as I was just starting out, that this isn't something, like if you get into this, if you're pursuing this, to thinking you're pursuing fame and fortune,
right?
Definitely you're not going about it right. Chances are that's not going to happen,
and you're just going to be disappointed when you aren't.
Exactly,
and really have missed out on the opportunity of the journey. More than anything.
So that the real work-life balance, because I saw people that had a lot of the fame and fortune, and then I got to see the ones that were just sort of happy with what they were doing in life and as well as work. So those became my real heroes, or just sort of not just the great actors, but the ones that are also, just great, dynamic, engaging people and sort of students of life, like a Dustin or Bryan Cranston, who has one of his latest shows here with Your Honor, another great New Orleans legal drama you should check out, or Anthony Hopkins, who I was fortunate to work with. Those kind of guys.
That's amazing. So actually, we were talking about Gene Hackman 2 nights ago. So my wife is much younger. It's very young. It's not that young anymore. Sorry. And we were talking about Gene Hackman, and we were watching Behind Enemy Lines, and I was like, nobody plays Admiral like a Gene Hackman. It's like, when you need that true, powerhouse naval, admiral.
Yeah.
It's like, that's who you think, that's who you want to see. Now, if I watch The Birdcage, I am on the floor belly laughing, and just seeing him in this completely ridiculous, exaggerated, caricature. But those are all, that's amazing to be able to even be in the same room with some of these iconic actors.
Yeah, he's got, like you said, not just such a smolder, a stern countenance, physical presence. He's a large guy, but just the gravitas of, that's one of those guys when you hear about owning a room.
Yeah, right.
You can be across the room from him, and you feel the man's presence, and he can do so much. He's definitely the less is more school of acting, but never a false note, can do so much with just sort of a look. And you mentioned even kind of the tough guy or the military. That's the thing, sometimes actors get bad names as just a bunch of, privileged divas and all, and everyone has their story. Not that they don't exist, but again, it's a huge industry with a lot of with every type of person from walks of life. Point is, Hackman was a Marine.
Oh, was it?
before
Okay,
like,
I didn't know that.
He literally, it was
that.
draft days, so he had to. I talk about my departure from acting to
Yeah,
work.
that's like an actual departure.
He had to take a departure to
It's like Jimmy Stewart,
to
right?
enlist,
Like, yeah.
exactly, or Elvis, or so he sort of walked the walk.
I took some drama courses in college. When I started college, like all good lawyers, I started college pre-med. And then it turns out if like you party just enough, they're never going to let you be a doctor. There's like a threshold of, like the more you fuck around, the more you find out you're actually not going to med school. So if you're
instead of appreciating the experience,
right?
it's sort of
I
like
thought
you don't want to get wedding advice or marriage advice from a priest.
I thought it would
I
make
feel
me
like
a
doctor
well-rounded doctor.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I totally hear you.
a doctor who knows their limit, thresholds of
exactly. Like
blacking
I
out.
know how to shotgun a beer on a rugby pitch, so I know like where the limit is. Like, hey, you should probably only do that a couple.
There's
of
a
times.
lot of physics and
Yeah,
biology
right,
involved.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I floundered for like a little bit. I was like, oh, I don't really know what I want to do. I really wanted to be that doctor. And so my buddy was like, you should take an acting course. You come, and I went to a small college. There was like a drama department. And so I did. I went and I took like, I don't know, drama, acting, 101. And it was pretty interesting. I really enjoyed it. And my advisor at the time said to me, he was like, Justin, I could see that. I could see you really getting typecast. And I remember thinking, is that an insult or is he complimenting me? I wasn't really sure. I think it was like one of those like really smart insults where I left his office and he's like, idiot. Yeah, I almost allowed myself to be typecast for a while. I thought about it. I was like, maybe I could do this. But
I think everyone should take some, basic acting 101, like you said. I mean, it kind of, whatever your field, or your path, just whoever you are as a person, I feel like it expands your horizons, makes you a little more comfortable in your own skin. Again, being able to just help communicate, own a room. Ironically, my father was an attorney. So it's like when we had the father-son conversation of like, all right, well, let's talk life and what do you think you want to be? Most Southern fathers expected, if not demanded, their only son to follow in their footsteps.
Right, we do.
He's like, you have my blessing.
I mean, you could be like a CPA if you wanted to.
He's
right?
like, you have my blessing to be anything you want. Except a lawyer, except following my footsteps.
Okay.
He's like, it's way too cutthroat. So again, I guess I always had a competitive streak. So I'm like, I'll go, fine. All right, I hear you. Thanks for
I'm going to
looking
double
out.
down on that.
I'll go find something even more
more cutthroat. I'm going to be in acting.
But I do feel like there's a lot of common ground, and we would talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Just sort of like the performance art to it.
There is performance in the art of litigation, right? So your suit is your costume. I don't wear a suit every day. I don't wear a suit every day. Are you kidding me? I was wearing shorts yesterday. It's hot. It's hot in here. When you put on the suit, you're putting on your mask, right?
Yeah.
In that sort of Greek sense. And then a lot of it, shit, I still drive, when I drive to the courthouse, if I'm driving to the courthouse and it's like first thing in the morning, and hey, it's like 8 in the morning, and I have to go give this really important argument. And like everybody else on earth at 8 o'clock in the morning, like I'm tired. I've been dealing with, preparing all night, or maybe I got up really early, prepared all morning. I'm just trying to get by. I'm drinking coffee. And so I still find myself driving to the courthouse, and I'll do the same thing. We do these like linguistic exercises in acting to sort of warm up. And so I'll be like Trinidad and the big Mississippi and the town Honolulu and the Lake Titicaca. And my wife was with me one day. She was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Like,
you don't do
pro.
this?
I got it.
I was like, how do you go to work?
Well, and then that's, as a trial attorney, you don't, like as an actor, you have to explore objective versus subjective reality. As a trial attorney, you don't have to be right. You can be completely wrong.
Frequently,
if you just sway the other humans in the room,
that's it.
You win. I mean,
I don't
you might
have to
win
be,
the case. You might not win at life, but
I don't have to be the arbiter of what is right and wrong.
Yeah,
there are other people there for that job. The jury will decide who is right. The jury will decide who is liable.
You move the.
My
jury.
job is to present your position in such a light as to influence this group of people or not. Maybe they'll buy it, maybe they don't. And I've got 10 lawyers here, And I go, office to office, and I'm always sort of giving advice. And my advice is when they start talking about facts and they're like, oh, I don't really, should we do this, should we do this? I was like, listen, it is not my job. It is not your job to create the facts of this case. The facts happened long before the client called us. Our job is to take the universe of facts and polish them in such a way that is most favorable to our client, because they are unfortunate. They do not have the skills and the training to do this themselves. So do not get bogged down in trying to recreate facts or change facts or that is not the job.
In terms, the facts are the given circumstances.
Yes.
That's what you're starting out with.
So you inherit this case,
You
right?
got to work within them.
I think where lawyers find themselves getting into trouble, they want to recreate facts. They want to put new facts. They want to change the facts. Well, we're not going to do that. That's not it. That's not the practice of law. That's not the profession. The profession is inheriting something, and sometimes it's like a turd, But if you polish it long enough, you can turn it into a beautiful diamond.
Polishing a turd analogy for your work, but whether it's lipstick on a pig,
not every case is the same.
Exactly.
Not every case is the same, And some cases they show up and they sound great, but then they change over time, and you're like, oh, okay, well. Shit, I wish I had known that, 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago or 2 years ago. But that's sort of the job. That's what I love about it. Every day is like a little bit different. There's not monotony. No one's ever walking down the halls here being like, oh, I'm so bored. Everybody has got their hair on fire. They're over caffeinated. They are overstimulated. Everybody has skipped lunch, and everybody is sitting there trying to polish something. So it's good. There's like a lot of energy to it.
Well, that's what I love. I mean, my unique niche in the industry, the variety you're talking about, sort of being the spice of life, always keeping it engaged. Because I mentioned, more the LA mindset is more the stay in your lane, and not only like the what are you, as in like we the machine are going to tell you what you are, or sort of your function. And when I have the privilege of working at home, you can those dividing lines disappear. So you can just bounce around, and from genre, you can go from I can go from playing a villain in a TV show, such as on the Winchesters. I play one of the iconic black-eyed demons. So I can go from like being a demonic villain in a TV show one day, and then literally the next day at the office, I'm in a comedy, a film, different genre, different medium. Playing on the other side of the law, or playing a hero, or one day you're a cop, one day you're...
I can see you with that villain
one day
role,
you're the criminal, you're the killer. So just getting to bounce around.
Like a Kevin Spacey villain. But without, without all the,
Yeah, I mean, so it's like sometimes you talk about the mask we put on the mantle. Sometimes you're blue collar, sometimes white collar, sometimes city mouse, country mouse. So the variety really keeps me engaged. I always like doing something different.
Yeah.
And speaking of, I'll have to give you homework too, because the legal minute, whether it's yourself or your viewers as well, check out. I had a film I was a part of last year that I'm really proud of called The Burial.
Okay.
Which it was produced. It was produced by Amazon, which means I think it's free on Amazon Prime. So like, there's no excuse.
Hey man, what's
to
not free on
movie.
Amazon Prime?
But it's a true.
I love that.
It's a true legal.
My whole house is Amazon Prime.
Yeah, really.
Like within an hour, it'll
So
be there.
you just enter your living room and just
play
Amazon. I mean, play
The Burial,
and it's going to come up. But it's based on a true story of a massive precedent legal case that took place in the 90s, and right on the Gulf Coast. So it's it's a really nice. Well, the film is fantastic. It's sort of like the old movies you were talking about, our generation, where a little bit of everything, a crowd pleaser. You got comedy, you got drama, you got inspiration, a message. The performances are phenomenal. It's Tommy Lee Jones and Jamie Foxx, and just a good ensemble around them.
How have I not seen this?
But it's a really good story, and so for all the times when maybe people think of actors as just storytellers, or again the sort of privileged divas with no real world function, it's always nice when you get those reminders. When this came out, I'll have people come up to me, and then either be like, I saw that movie or I saw this show and it really, it changed my view or it opened my mind. But with this one's so close to home. A lot of people have come up to me. They're like, not only am I familiar with this story, they're like, I know the family that this is about, and that so it's some of these like it's a win for the little guy and the mom and pop.
The Burial.
The Burial.
I want to see that.
Check it out.
So what's the event off the Gulf Coast that happened?
So it gets its title. It was a small, Mississippi Gulf Coast generational funeral home.
Okay.
Mom and pop.
Okay.
Who serviced who serviced their area where they were from, and then of course it's big corporate, some international conglomerate comes in and they were buying up a bunch of in the I work for the in the film I'm with the bad guy, the less savory, but the one who is just about money and power and might makes right. And
the Starbucks.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Corporate.
So they were coming in and just trying to monopolize the little small town funeral industry. And really, I mean, you can imagine not just financially benefit, but just take advantage of people at their absolute lowest points.
Yeah. Yeah. If you've ever had to bury a loved one.
Yeah. Like one of the last times you want to be making these big business
Are you sure
decisions.
you don't want your loved one pressed into a diamond so you can wear it around your neck for the rest of your life and it'll only cost you another $10,000? Hey, it's a bargain for togetherness. I'm familiar with it. Yeah, it's a lot. All right, so The Burial, I am going to watch this. So I used to love going to see movies. And I always make this joke, but it's really not a joke. We had our daughter in 2016. I remember we went and saw a movie right before my wife went into labor. I'm pretty sure it was not the best movie. It was like A Walk in the Woods. Is that where they go hike the Appalachian Trail? Like two old guys go hike the Appalachian Trail, and I'm trying to think of
not what like a 5-year-old.
No, it's just like
wants to see.
Yeah, right. And so this was before she went, and then she went into labor, and then I don't know. We just became like, she's a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. We're helicopter parents. We've we're like those parents who are like, oh, today you're gonna have a play date, and then you're gonna go to your karate practice, and then you're gonna go to swimming, and we're like those people. And so I really haven't seen a movie since then, and it's not because I don't want to. It's just like it's not in our schedule. I think what I'm most looking forward to, as my kids continue to grow up, is being able to go to a movie. I just want to go to a movie. I just want to go to a movie.
An adult movie
like
with,
an adult. I just want. You know what I want?
I mean, not like an adult movie.
No, I don't want to go to a porno, but I want to go.
just settle for a movie.
I just want a Coke Iced Tea,
a 6-year-old,
and some popcorn, and just be left alone for anywhere from 90 minutes. Maybe it's 2 hours. Not a. What's this thing? Maybe not a Kevin Costner movie. I don't know that I have 3 hours to devote.
Well, look, I'm gonna give you some good news to look forward to. As as a parent, our only child is a teenager, so we're now navigating
you're in the glory years.
But the good thing is, one thing I've loved is the role-playing nature I have is whatever age she is, thinking of what was I into at that age. And so I'll put together my movie watch lists based upon that. Here's what you got to watch when she's 9 or whatnot. Like when I was 9 years old, I think Bill and Ted's came out or something.
Yeah.
So just these benchmark things, and she turned. I've been waiting. This year was a milestone. I've been waiting for her to turn 15. Because when I was 15 years old, and you were there, my friend, wasn't always pretty. But when I was 15 years old is when Braveheart came out.
Yeah.
That was the year one, Best Picture. And I saw that film, and it was literally life-changing in that I'm watching this not just as a viewer, but I'm like, here you go. Here's what I want to do for the rest of my life is tell stories like this. So I've been waiting for her.
I had the soundtrack.
Me too.
That's on a CD.
James Horner. I mean, it's
great.
So. She makes fun of me because we'll be just driving around town in my car, and it's like the Braveheart soundtrack is.
If I heard
playing.
the Braveheart soundtrack, I would immediately probably my heart would start racing.
Yeah, it takes you there, and you want to.
There were 2 CDs that I would play my freshman year of college. and one was Enya, right? Like like Orinoco
Yes.
Flow. You don't know, you're too young. And then the other was Braveheart. If I were to hear those scores, like I would immediately be like looking for a cigarette
Your
and
downer
I'd be
and your
up all
upper.
night like studying and like trying to like work on like feverishly
For
working
law
on
school,
this
you want to
paper.
like conquer.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
you're in-
there are like those few songs, like I don't know, some brain cells that
Yeah.
get like sparked, and we're like, "What happened? Are you okay? Is it a stroke?" You know, and I'm like, "No, it's just the Braveheart."
takes you there. So I was waiting. It was
Yeah.
it was a date on the calendar for her to turn 15, so that I could show her Braveheart for the first time.
Did she like it?
So she did. She did.
kids are cruel like that.
exactly.
They'll
It
just be
wasn't.
like, "It sucks."
It wasn't just like the oh dad or like this is a
Actually,
dad
Dad, I read about it on
movie.
Wikipedia, and he wasn't that good
Yeah.
of a guy.
Yeah.
You're like, why don't you shut it?
Like
You know?
so to bring it full circle, Braveheart soundtrack again. James Horner, my personal favorite composer. I had the honor of working on the last film he composed before he passed, which was the remake of Magnificent Seven.
Okay.
But so that's a prime example, though. Like I had Charlie's my daughter. I had her visit set, and I mean, talk about an ensemble. This is
Yeah, that's
Denzel
a
Washington,
big deal.
Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke. So even she could appreciate like this caliber of talent and the cast. But then she came to watch it, and I'm like, man, I'm all amped up. Like I grew up, my dad, my grandfather, really into love the Western genre and sort of
Yes,
introduced me
yes.
to it from a young age.
Yes.
So same thing. I'm trying to like pass the torch. And she's like, oh, I go like Westerns, So that's when I got that. She's like, that's for old men.
It is. Well, it is. So Dad, my father, also, part of the same generation, Westerns, World War II movies like Flying Leathernecks. Flying Leathernecks is how you spend Saturday morning when you're a child. It's not necessarily the best.
TCM Turner Classic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I actually take a much different approach. I don't watch lawyer dramas by and large. And it's because I watched them so much growing up. Like if I even hear that like
our generation was Grisham.
dun,
It was like the last
know.
golden era of the legal drama.
So
You're
my
right,
wife
TV or
loves
film.
it. Like Lindsay loves it. Like she when I'm out of town, I think she gets chicken wings and watches Law and Order. Like I'm pretty sure she's actually kind of said that. She she's gonna hate me. But the truth, that's the
You
truth.
don't have the true crime deep dive.
Yeah,
wife?
I don't watch crime shows because I'm like a huge wuss, and I don't like watching violence, and I don't watch law shows because I do it all day, and it's like too.
It's not an escape
too
for
much.
you.
And so so that is one of those few things. But you're right, like Westerns where like Dad always had like like really shitty black and white, not in a good way. Like black and white when it shouldn't have been. Westerns,
And of course there were the great ones, the all-time greats. But then to your point, there are the ones it's like just the recycled formula
on loop. Or he watched Jag. That was it.
Oh yeah,
you watched
USA.
It's just so much. Yeah. So you hear that like Law and Order, like dung 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 dung. I'm out. Like I'll walk in the other room and I'll just
the gavel.
The gavel.
Yeah.
Is that what that's supposed to be?
I think it's sort of supposed to evoke. I mean, sort of a digital.
I never realized
a digital
that.
gavel.
A digital gavel. Okay.
For
yeah.
the law. See that you've become so numb.
So no one ever uses the gavel in a courtroom.
That's
it's
what
like
I
not
hear.
a real
I'm
thing.
so disappointed.
But and so one day I was in Plaquemines Parish. I don't even remember what case I'm in, but I'm down there. I'm in Plaquemines. I'm arguing something, and the judge issues a ruling on my case, and then grabs the gavel and is like, does like a double knock on the gavel, and I was just like, everyone's looking at me, but I was just stunned. I actually had to like stop for a second and think. I'm like, holy shit.
Take a moment of reflection.
He just used the gavel. Like this is probably the only time in your life you're ever going to hear that. I almost wanted to be like, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you do that again?
So that was you just had the one.
That's it. That's the one.
gavel.
One and done. I don't know what
You always
happened.
remember your
I don't know if
first.
he was just like he felt really strong about his decision. He's like, hold on, where is this?
Yeah.
But he did it. He hit the gavel, and that's the only time I've ever heard it. It was awesome. I loved it. All right, well, we're getting this. I'm getting this thing that
Yeah.
you're
Yep.
he's an actor. He knows what that means. The first time they did this, I was like, yeah, what? Why you? Yes.
They're cutting our wires.
I can keep going on and on. That's what you want me to do? I can go on all day. Okay.
High school classmates catching up. This is
Yeah,
as
this is it. This is
authentic.
This is as
All right,
raw as it
well,
gets.
shut us up.
So, but
I haven't even finished my drink.
oh yeah, me either. I'm the worst. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on this show. I loved hearing about what you've been doing for the last 30, I'm going to call it 30. I'm going to call it 30 years, and it's amazing. I love hearing about all this. I love that you were able to take a passion and actually do something with it. Not everybody gets to do that. Sometimes, I love what it is I do. But as a child, if anyone was like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I want to own and operate a law firm. You want to do like cool shit as a kid. You don't want to, do this. I love what I do, but, it wasn't, I started a business and was able to do it and create it. And it's like having a child.
And
right?
back
so you don't love a child before it's born.
Congrats
right? That's
as
silly,
well. It's great to see you, an old classmate coming into.
But there's a difference between like having a child and then being like, I love this child, versus being like, I have this love and now I want to like see it through. So I'm so glad to see that you're doing that. That's amazing.
It's not easy to see it through. I'm super grateful I've been able to. But again, it's always the town we come from. It's great to just have that support system, old friends and family,
Nobody comes together like this community. The first thing I did when I started the law firm was I told everybody I knew that I was open for business.
That's true, and I'll make that one last quick point is that in the other production markets, even the smaller ones, it really, we talk about the cutthroat nature of the industry. That's more the rule. Almost everywhere else, but here is that everyone is like trying to one up the other.
Yeah.
And here, people just, I guess we're raised differently, something a little different in the water there. We try to look out for each other and raise each other up where we can.
People were sending me cases.
When we're not killing each other, we're lifting each other up.
Yeah, we're all lifting each other up. But look, we are absolutely killing each other out there.
Yeah.
But, which is all the more reason why. Well,
don't end on that note. Come on. Let's end
in a good way.
Yeah.
Culling the herd.
If you need a personal injury attorney.
If someone's tried to kill you.
Tried to been killed lately.
Please call me. So, hey, well, thanks a lot.
I'll play you in your life story in the murder on-screen drama.
That. Yeah, you can do that.
I auditioned for a murderer today.
You could thin out your hair. You put on 10. You could,
I
could Oh wait, you were saying. I thought you were saying you'd play me.
Well, I'm saying depending on any potential client, But I could, I can make you work.
Yeah,
we can get this done.
I can see that. I can see that. People want to see more of me.
Let's make this happen.
I like it. I love where
cheers.
this is headed. All right, well, cheers. Hey, thanks for coming on
you.
Above the Legal Limit after 5 p.m. This was the first time we've done this. Probably will be the last, but I loved it. And so we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining me today on Above the Legal Limit. If you enjoyed the show and you want to hear more about business and law, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't like the show, keep it to yourself. Remember, there's no limit to what we can achieve. We will see you next week. Until then, even though we're above the legal limit, let's drive safely. Cheers, everyone.